Well, hello, good evening. Check test, check test. Well, hello, good evening. Check test, check test. Well, hello, good evening. Alrighty, well, it looks like everything's working great tonight. Hi, glad to have everybody here. Wow, I had 5 connected and now none. What were you expecting? That's funny. Interesting. Okay, here we go. Everybody's reconnecting. That's odd. Hi, hope everybody is doing well. We've got, or at least we had, E Square in from Michigan. Robert Black's in this evening. Hi, Robert, in E Square. See a few more people are connected. Got a really interesting video from Aaron tonight. If you're a regular viewer of the stream, you'll know that Aaron's our moderator. When he can make it, he's doing camp hosting up at Amana Colonies there in Iowa. And so sometimes he has to work on Tuesday nights at this POC. So that's okay. It's all good. But he sent me a pretty good video that we're going to share with you a little here in a little bit. So as always, I'll just kind of drag my feet for a few minutes and wait for more people to get in. Hi, Tim Myers. Awesome. Great to see you here tonight. And do a quick update on Dad. He's still progressing, but I'm still locked out of the care center, rehab hospital, wherever you want to call it. It's sort of a mix between a nursing home because they've got like long-term patients and then rehab people that are like my dad, have fallen and broken a hip or had some other kind of major medical thing that they need extended time to recover from. So he's doing all right. I think actually they might open the facility tomorrow. I'm hoping, and so I'll go up and see him tomorrow. But it's all good there. Looks to me like he'll be coming home at the end of the month. That's the hope. So that's what, maybe around the 27th. I don't know if they'll do it like on a Friday or what, but we'll figure that out. And then I probably will be here another week and a half to 10 days, something like that, probably, just to make sure things are going well. We have some help coming in 3 days a week to help with cleaning and stuff like that. So I think we got a pretty good plan in place. He wants to stay here. I'm willing to give it a shot. I'll come back at Christmas and reevaluate, how things are going. If the house is clean and they're feeding themselves properly and stuff like that, then, we'll let it roll. Because, I totally get where he's coming from. All his friends are here. He does Rotary and all these things. And so, um, I totally get where he's coming from. He doesn't want to have to start over. And, we'll see how it goes. So it looks like we've got a few people in. We got Michigan Dave in. Hi, Michigan Dave. And Dana Lynch from Texas. Hi, y'all. David Briley is in tonight. Tim Myers is a regular viewer, and we're glad to have you all here. If you're um, new to the channel, I invite you to subscribe and ring the notification bell. As soon as I get back to Idaho, my normal place where I've got, hours and hours and hours of footage to put together for you for some great RV how-to repairs I've been doing. I also have a couple in the works right now, as time permits, working on my fridge replacement. It was my very first RV how-to video, and I've been re-editing it and getting it into one episode, down from 3 of about 30 minutes apiece. It'll probably be one 20 to 22-minute episode, something like that. And then I'm also working on one about putting your RV to bed for winter, the things you should do as far as maintenance goes. And that should come out, I'm probably a week after I get back to Idaho. So we're hopeful all that comes together. Doug from Vegas. Hi, Doug. Robert, I'll get to you in just a minute. Randy. Hi, Randy. Nice to see you in the chat. John from Michigan. Yeah, good. Oh, you had asked me a question, and I forgot to get back to it. I guess it was last week about AGS, automatic generator starters. And so I'll put that on the list and try to remember to answer that tonight. Thank you, Dana. That's very nice of you. Food porn chef. He says he's headed to Vegas. So you got everything working, or are you just limping into Vegas there, food porn chef? I gave Dad an update. You'll have to go back and watch the intro, but he's doing fine. Thanks for asking. And it's, you ask a political question, and I tend to try to stay away from those on the channel. I'll say that the thing that struck me is that if the Afghan army didn't stand up to them, why would we go in and help them? Why fight a civil war? I mean, so that's my political statement on it. That's my mentality on what's going on with Afghanistan. It's really unfortunate, but everybody that's gone in there and tried to uh, put their own form of government or give them whatever they want, whatever that entity wants, whether it was Russia back then or U.S. now, they failed. They're going to do what they're going to do, so let them do it. Doug, thank you. Dave Briley, retiring in October, yes, and that's awesome. Are you going to go south for winter? Is that the plan, David? Get out of some cold. I forget where you're at. Oh, and Tim Myers, you're retiring on September 30th. Excellent. I retired May 1st, 2016. Okay, good. All right, so let's see. Robert had asked a question back here. He says he's leaving for his first trip Thursday morning in the new to us MHC 3005 RL. Been doing lots of tweaks, and I think we're ready. River trip for a week, 250 miles one way. Yeah, that's a good starter. To break into doing a little longer trips is just do some short excursions. That'll help kind of flush out any of the bugs, stuff that needs to be addressed. Always shows up when you're going down the road, and so I think that's a good plan. Oh yeah, E Square. He says he has 2 years to go for retirement. Ugh, yeah. Okay, Dave in Tennessee. Awesome. Hi, Tom. Nice to have you in tonight. Okay, so I don't see Aaron in, so he must be working. But I'm going to share this with you right now. I think I can make this work. Let me flip over here, and then let me share this with you. All right, now let's see if it'll play. I'm assuming you can see that. Let me run over here. Okay. You got to remember there's a little bit of latency here. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you can see that. Um, Aaron sent me this video, and that is a propane tank that he was filling, and the valve stuck when they took when he took the fill off, and that would have scared the living hoo-ha out of me. He says he was not happy about it. Now think about this: you can't really go and bang on a valve like that with any kind of a wrench, although they're brass, and they're brass for a reason, because when you hit brass, it doesn't make sparks. But it's still not a good idea to go be banging on these things, to try to get this valve inside of that propane fill. It's a check valve. It's a one-way valve that only opens when there's pressure from the outside, and then the pressure from the inside keeps it closed, and a spring. And so it's stuck open. Let me replay that video for you because I think it's pretty scary when you look at that. So what he ended up doing was a plastic pin. So he must have had a plastic pin, something in his pocket, and he took that and he shoved that in that um, um, fill hole and got the valve to seal and saved the day, basically. So thanks to Aaron for putting that up and giving that over to me today. That was interesting. Doug D. I put a residential fridge in 2017, early 2017, like January. The long short story was is that I was at Picacho Peak in Arizona, which is about halfway between Casa Grande and Tucson, and it was really neat. It's right below Picacho Peak, and if you've ever driven the 10 from Casa Grande down to Tucson, there's this big snaggletooth peak on the west side of I-10. And there's a state campground right there as well. But I was in a commercial RV park for the winter. And I had gone up to Idaho for a funeral. An uncle had passed away, and so I'd gone up for his funeral. And when I got back, my fridge had quit working, and I was gone for like 3 weeks because the day I was going to come back, the roads were really nasty. And so I ended up hanging out with some other friends for a couple days. And so, well, anyway, the long short story is it took me a while to get back. But when I got back, it smelled like something had died in my RV. I don't know how long my fridge had been out, but it had been out long enough that when I opened the door, it knocked me to the ground. So I ended up putting a residential fridge in. This was after I'd put the Amish kit, quote unquote, they call them the Amish kit. But what it is that those fridges are ammonia absorption fridges. They use ammonia as a coolant and they boil it, and then it condenses and it gets cold. And okay, that's how they all work. But um, the Amish kit is the whole cooling part of the back of the fridge. And I had a Norcold 1200, and they're all built about the same. And so you have the cooling parts of this are on the back of the fridge, and they're actually just mounted to the back of the fridge with a metal plate. And there's a metal plate on the back of the fridge that helps with the conduction of the cold. Well, I'd already put a new whole absorption unit on mine, and it lasted me 3 years. But I finally said to heck with it, threw in the towel, and put in the residential fridge. It fit perfectly in the hole. I had to make a small adjustment, but there's a video on my channel of it, actually 3 videos. They're the first RV how-to videos I ever made, and I'm actually re-editing that. For some reason, I had that footage up on the cloud. I use Adobe, and you get from Adobe with the plan that I have a terabyte of cloud storage. And so for some reason, I found that footage up there. All my other footage is at home on my computer or in my, I have, you know, many of these these portable hard drives, 8, 9 terabyte portable hard drives that I keep footage on. So, all right, I've seen lots of questions coming in. So that's a long short story to get you to say that I'm re-editing that video into one episode. Oh, great. Tim Myers is headed to the UP in 2 weeks. I've never been farther north than where's the town that Rockberry Music Festival is at? That's as far north as I've been on the peninsula, but I know people that have gone to the UP and say that it is amazing. Mick the dog, hi, welcome. Glad to have you in. I go out and drink beer in my rig in the driveway. Does that count? Only if you're using the bathroom out there. Oh, waxing the camper and what a pain. Need some advice. Okay, got a short video on my channel around doing that. I swear by the McGuire's. It's Fords and Chevys, right? Everybody has their favorite wax or compounds and stuff. But I've always had great success with the McGuire's. And I used a DA and a rotary buffer with some Myers compound on mine and took out all the scratches and everything. And it still looks amazing. This is 5 years later. And I actually would always go out and usually I would wash it regularly, not, obsessively regularly, but probably once every 2 or 3 months, especially if I'd been out in the dust a lot, then I'd go hit the truck stop car wash, the truck stop washes, the truck washes, I should say. But then at least once a year, I would put a good coat of wax on. And in a good year, then I'd get 2 coats on of a good yellow carnauba wax, and it just shines. It's amazing. But there is a video on my channel on how I did it. And the name of it escapes me. It's pretty old. It's been up there for like 3 or 4 years. It still gets a lot of views though. Yeah, it's how to refinish your RV's paint in 3 easy steps or something like that. But you'll find it on my channel. But anything else specific you want to ask, feel free to ask, David. I'm happy. Hi, Jim Bertrand. Awesome to have you in from Canada. Yeah, hi, Two Feathers. Propane scares the crap out of me, but it sure is convenient. Yeah, Those propane tanks, the DOT propane tanks, the ones that are approved for, use on RVs and rigs that roll down the road, because there's propane powered vehicles. They're built pretty stout and they're pretty hard to break. They're pretty hard to, they will explode, but, they're pretty safe, particularly the ones that are fixed to your rig. Yeah, Mick, it might not be such a bad idea. Mick, the dog, says, "Wonder if a shot of WD-40 on the Propane valve might not be a bad idea." Yeah, um, if there's even the slightest little bit of moisture, when that propane is filling, it's really cold, right? That little valve, the connection point gets super cold, because the propane is liquid when it comes out of the hose, and it's more or less liquid when it goes into your tank because it's under pressure. But it's still expanding a little bit, which gets it super cold. And so I'm sure that WD-40 would help displace water because that's what WD-40 was made for, right? WD stands for water displacement, and 40 is the formula number. It took 40 tries for him to get the stuff to work. But it might not be a bad idea, to put a little bit on there, especially if you're in a moist, damp climate. Is a 12-12-30 smart charger waterproof? Well, I'm not sure, Tom. Which one? You might. I kind of think this is just off the top of my head, but those chargers get hot. And so I think finding one that's going to be waterproof might be a little difficult. Now, you should be able to find a solar charge controller that's waterproof, but a smart charger where you're charging from 110, that might be hard to come by. But a solar charge controller, absolutely, you can get those that are waterproof. Victron, I don't know if they make one, but there are solar charge controllers out there that are rated for outside use. Oh my gosh, Tom. Tom has been having some real troubles with his motorhome. They thought it was I thought you started with the transmission ECU, right? And now you're over onto the engine. Oh, you changed it. Okay, I see. I got to read it again. You did change the trans ECU, didn't fix it. Man, that sucks. So did they put the old transmission ECU back in and not charge you for the new one? Because those things ain't cheap. A new battery cable. Well, that's a little less expensive than an ECU. Oh, Doug, you have the Samsung RF18. Yeah, great. It's a great fridge. I love it. Brandy Bethanol asks, "What's the best way to reseal a travel trailer roof?" Okay. Um, the best way is to reseal the whole roof and put lap sealant around the seams. So if you get on the roof of your travel trailer, you're going to see there's probably a little strip that runs around the whole outside of the travel trailer that is holding the roof down. And the roof might be rubber. Um, is the roof rubber? I should ask. Have you been up there and looked? But either way, there's going to be some sealant along this retainer strip around the whole outside of the uh, top of the travel trailer. And in that case, I would take some lap sealant. I would run a bead of lap sealant along that trim strip and fill up and cover that with lap sealant. And then on the roof itself, if it's rubber or even metal, then I would get a can of Henry's Tropicool roll-on silicone rubber roof is really what it is, but it's silicone, and roll that on, and you should be great to go. You'll also want to use the lap sealant. Sorry, I got a wild mustache here. You also want to use the lap sealant around all of the vents that go through the roof. So, like, you're going to have your pop-up vent, your Venturi fan, or your Max Air fan, or whatever. You want to seal around that device with the lap sealant, and any of your plumbing stack pipes that come up through the roof. There should probably be two. You're going to want to seal around all of those where it meets the roof. Um, in episode 4 of my roof replacement video that you can find on my channel, you'll see me, and in fact, at the beginning of all of my RV how-to videos, at least the most recent ones, a little montage at the beginning, you see me putting lap sealant on my roof. But you can actually look at the episode 4, and that will show you doing the lap sealant around like the vents and stuff like that around the perimeter of my RV's roof when I replaced its roof. So that's how you would do it, to the best way that would last the longest. Howdy from Columbus, Round Town Scooter. Great to have you in. Lower Alabama. Brandy Benthal. Oh, okay. Lower Alabama. Geez, that's cool. I have been through Alabama, but I've never camped there. Okay, Tim Myers, taking the motorhome to a fly-in in Sidnaw, Michigan. It's an annual trip. Awesome. I had an old boss that was really into flying. He had a Cessna 180 or 172, and we would trade. I was the IT geek, IT director for an engineering company for a lot of years, and he was operations VP, and I would do all his computer work for him in trade for airplane rides. Yes, Mick, my body is full painted on my RV. But the McGuire's works just as well on the um, aluminum sided RVs, especially if they're oxidated. Yeah, there you go, Doug. He put a half a bag of ice and bought a box of borax. Yeah, it's the secret. I'm telling you. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Great, Tom. Glad to hear that. So was it a bad ground? Because I could see that causing a problem for sure. A bad negative. Yeah, I'm with you, Tim. Glad to hear you got it figured out. Yes, Bob. If you don't have a solar charge or a solar panel to charge to keep your batteries charged, it's not a bad idea to leave your battery tender on your batteries. Check your water regularly, though. At least once a month, go out and check your water and make sure they've got plenty of distilled water in them. That's about the only thing you need to pay attention to. Dave Briley asks, "How can I get the silicone?" Oh, I'll get back to you, Tom. Dave Briley asked, let's see here, just a second. Okay. Oh, get to you in a second, Dave. That 12-volt Victron, I'm not sure if that's waterproof. I'm going to have to probably say I doubt it. I'll look it up though, and let you know, but I kind of doubt it. I don't know if I've seen any of the Victron gear that I would consider waterproof that you could mount outside in the elements. Silicone off the trim that the previous owner did. Yeah. Um, there's a couple things you can try. First, try it out of the way, but try lacquer thinner or acetone. The acetone you have to be really careful with. If there's any plastic surfaces, if it's on metal, then you're good with acetone. But if there's any plastic, that acetone will go on, do not use it. Use lacquer thinner or like mineral spirits, sometimes gasoline, and get yourself a plastic putty knife, not metal, but plastic. That'll stop you from scratching up the trim too much. And just peel off as much of the silicone as you can. Um, then hit it with some acetone if it's metal, and then or like lacquer thinner will take silicone off as well. But yeah, that's a huge pain to take off old silicone. Okay, Jim. Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you so much for the super chat. It's greatly appreciated. The 12-12-30 smart charger is a DC-DC. Yeah, I believe that's right, Jim. I'm just not sure if it can be used outside in the elements. That would be my question. Rick and Miss Brown. Well, hi. Welcome. You're new to the channel, and it's awesome to have you in. Hi there. I just boxed your personal Facebook page. Actually, that's probably not my personal page. That's probably my public figure page. But no, that's perfectly fine. That's what it's there for. Well, thank you, Rick and Miss Brown. Yes, I am very happy to help you out with my how-to videos. I try to make them, you know, with all the steps and simple enough that you can do it with just basic skills and basic hand tools where appropriate. I mean, in some cases you're going to need saws and stuff like that, but most of the time, I'd say that 70% of the projects that you do that are going to be sort of the inside maintenance things you can do with a handful of tools, pliers, screwdrivers, you know, basic hand tools like that. You don't need anything fancy. Okay, yeah, well, that's too bad. You might take your trans ECU and put it on eBay and sell it, see if you can sell your old one, Tom. 950. Use it, you bought it. Yeah, if you plug it in, if it accepts any electrons, you own it. The Almost Home Bus. Hi, great to have you in tonight. Bob Davis, you're welcome. Yeah, make the dog ouch for sure. Hope Bus is in. Great. I'm glad to have you in here from the Niagara area in Ontario. Okay, there you go. High resistance. Okay, Tom Downey. We're talking about. Tom has been like a couple weeks trying to figure out a problem with his motorhome. He replaced the transmission ECU that cost $950 and turned out to be a battery cable. That's sometimes the way it works. But he's saying it's a high resistance connection, would conduct but not carry the load. Yep, that's true, Tim. Yeah, bad connections. That's one of the first things you look for when you're just troubleshooting electronics or anything is bad connections. The Hope Bust has a question for me. We had an auto spray paint on the edges of our bus, and then we power washed it. It repealed everything. And then we used Henry's roof coating. Well, we noticed it's peeling. Um, is the paint peeling off with the Henry's? Because what I'm wondering is if you got bad adhesion on the paint. And the Henry's is going to stick to whatever the top surface is. And if that paint didn't stick to the surface below, which it kind of sounds like it might not have, Hope Bus, you may have to power wash it all off again and reseal it or, and redo it with the Henry's again to make sure that you don't have any loose paint under there. Because that Henry's shouldn't come off with a power washer. But if it's coming off and there's loose paint underneath it, then that could be the cause of that. That kind of sounds like what might be going on. Yeah, you'll probably have to redo it, Hope Bus. Yeah, I can't think of any quick fix. If that paint, because what's happened is now that you've gone over that paint with another layer, there's no way to get underneath that layer in the first place, the old paint layer to make it stick. Not that I'm aware of. You're probably going to end up just having to wire brush it off and reseal it with the Henry's. Wire brush it if it's appropriate, if it's not a rubber surface or a plastic surface. If it's plastic, then just power wash it and you'll probably have to sand it. That might be a better solution on a plastic surface. But yeah, you're probably going to have to redo it if that paint's peeled off. That's why I said try the acetone in an out-of-the-way spot and make sure that it doesn't. The lacquer thinner will not, but I'm not sure if it'll pull it off that aluminum. That's why, get to a spot where it is or a small spot and try it and make sure that, look at your cloth and make sure you're not picking up the pigment off that aluminum. And if you are, then you're going to have to switch to like a lacquer thinner or a paint thinner or sometimes gasoline, right? You have to be really careful, but sometimes gasoline works well. Okay, there you go. Mick the dog says acetone will take paint off if you scrub on it, but if you just wipe it down, it won't. Okay. Yeah, well, he's probably going to be scrubbing a little bit, trying to get that silicone off. So I would try a little out of the way place, and if not, then you might go to lacquer thinner because I don't think lacquer thinner will remove that paint. Um, but yeah, old silicone is a bugger to get off, especially if you can't take a wire brush to it, which would be my first choice. A wire brush on a drill. Thank you, Jason Mills. You are the man. I appreciate that super chat so much. And Hope Bus gave me a super chat as well. Wow. You guys are awesome tonight. I thank you so much. Yeah, Hope Bus just rolling with the punches. Well, that's all you can do when you own an RV. First off, you just got to understand that it's a machine and machines break. All right. The other thing is they break at the most inopportune time. And you just gotta roll with the punches and know that it's an RV. It's like a car. I mean, cars break, refrigerators break, washing machines break. RV is like a house. When I full timed in my RV, there's always a list of maintenance things to do. They're not unlike a house. I just didn't have a lawn to mow. Mick, that's I. He says, just my observation. A power washer is never a great idea if you can avoid it. Yeah, on a painted surface, I would totally agree with you because it will lift the paint, particularly if you're using like a 15-degree head or a zero. I would never go at a painted surface with a zero. 15, no. I mean, and what I'm talking about, is those power washers. You get the degrees of the opening, the spray pattern, and zero is that direct spray. That's the highest pressure, and then as you increase that angle, the pressure goes down at the nozzle. Yeah, so that's a good point. Car wash. I've on an old truck I peeled the paint off of it at the car wash. You're welcome, David. Tom Downey, the multimeter won't show high resistance. This is a 2-aught cable, bad end, corroded nearly off. Yeah, that's you weren't seeing high resistance from across the cable. Interesting. Yeah, Mick the dog says I'm weird. Half the fun is fixing it. I totally agree with you. I love um, working on stuff like that, but not at 950 bucks. Most home bus quad. Tom Downey says the trouble with my dongle is it can see through the coach doors. Open works great, closed it quits. Oh, can you move the dongle up inside? Can you sneak the cable up from your electrical compartment and move that dongle up inside your RV? Um, that's a USB connection, and I'm not sure about the maximum length on that, but I would bet you that you could probably get at least a 10-foot USB extension and extend that dongle um, up into the coach a little bit so that it would connect. That might be something you want to look at. Jim Bertrand asks, have I used Rusty this year? Rusty is my RV. I affectionately call him Rusty because when I first got him, everything on it was Rusty. Um, I have not. Um, the irony is it's sitting in the driveway at home and has been for 3 months and hasn't been started, and it's driving me crazy because I'm very religious about my maintenance. Every month I would go out and start the coach, start the generator, put it all under load, run the jacks up and down, at least move the slides. I can't open the slides fully, but I would at least start them in and out. Um, but when I get home, I have decided I'm going to keep it at least until next year. Um, at least I think I am. And so I've got to get home, and I want to. It's driving me nuts that I haven't been able to do my maintenance on it. Tom Downey says, "See what a loose jet coat under high pressure." Yeah, for sure. Um, you can destroy a loose gel coat. Also, you're converting a 2002 MCI. Do you watch Bus Grease Monkey? Question. Their Hope Bus. I like him. I wish he'd get to the point a little bit more sometimes, but I have watched his channel, and he's a pretty good Detroit diesel mechanic and a bus mechanic. But he likes working on the old buses. So the Hope Bus says, "I'm very used to the fixings and redos. I just wanted to check if you knew any tricks." Yeah, no, I don't have any magic tricks for that. I wish I did. Yeah, Almo Most Home Bus. Yeah, soft cloth, detergent, and a garden hose. Yeah, that's the best way. I wouldn't use a pressure washer on my RV. But in the case of the Hope Bus, those MCIs are basically all stainless steel on the outside, and they've been painted. And I'm not surprised that there would be spots of peeling paint on that for sure. And that has a metal roof too, if memory serves me correctly. So you might be able to take a wire brush or get one of those abrasive brush wheels, and you might try that. They're a lot less aggressive, and they may knock that loose paint off and get the Henrys off because that's going to be a bugger to sand. But those abrasive brushes, they're like a wire brush, except they're not metal. They're composite. They're like sandpaper, but they're little, rods. I pick them up at Harbor Freight, and they work pretty good. A 2018 Sandpiper, Rick and Miss Brown. They have a 2018 Sandpiper they just purchased. We're new campers, okay. So they are hooked to shore power, 50 amp. Our battery keeps discharging. It's a two battery bank. Should we have two batteries? Um, well, yeah, the two battery bank is just so that you have extra capacity when you're not hooked up. The question is why they keep running down. There should be a charger somewhere attached to those batteries. You might have what's called an inverter charger, and then what you want to do is check the circuit breakers on the inverter charger. There's going to be two, and sometimes one of them will pop, which will stop your batteries from charging. Okay. Um, the other thing is, it's a 2018. When you say the batteries keep discharging, how long does it take them to discharge? You should probably be wired parallel on those 12. I'm assuming they're 12 volt, and they should be parallel because series adds voltage, parallel adds amperage. And so you want 12 volts, but you want the capacity of the amperage of both batteries. So they would be parallel. Okay, so the Hope Bus answered that the Hope Bus is helping other people evolve. I like that. That's pretty cool. I don't follow you, Tom. He says no, that requires a merger. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't follow you. A little bit. I am a student of decision making. Um, I worked. Part of my job was helping the company make decisions on large investments that had long term consequences. So, for example, when you're trying to decide to buy a phone system, I know we're off the topic here a little bit, but when you're trying to help a company buy a phone system, that's a 10, 20-year investment that you're making because you're not going to replace that phone system in 3 years. And so there's things that you have to do to make decisions. And I'd like to try to understand how people think about making decisions. Uh, Kant is one that I've done some reading on. There's a couple others, but if you'd like to talk philosophy offline, I'd be happy to. But yeah, I'm a little bit of a philosopher and interested in that. Okay, Michigan Dave. Yeah, just go for it. You're not going to make any big problems. You know, Michigan Dave says, I would like to add a vent in the bathroom of my StarCraft travel trailer. A little hesitant about cutting into the roof. Any suggestions? Well, the only thing that you could run into is that you might run into a wire. Okay. Um, is there a a light fixture in the ceiling nearby? Uh, that would be one thing that you might want to think about is there any wires in there? Worst case scenario, of course, you'd want the power turned off to the travel trailer before you start cutting a hole in the roof. So if you do hit a wire, you're not going to hurt anything. And make sure you disconnect your batteries too. But they can be fixed, right? I mean, if you cut the wire, you're going to have a hole there. So just fix the wire before you put it through. If I had any suggestions, I would say uh, go to the outside, the top, figure out where you're going to put it, right? And then drill the corners. Make a round hole for all four corners. Now, what that will do is remember, as your trailer runs down the road, it's rocking and rolling and twisting. And with a round corner in this square, right, because you're going to have to cut a square to get into it, but that round corner will stop that metal from tearing. And I've seen that as a problem where they've been cut square, is that that metal can tear. And so it's just a little, gives you a little radius. But the other thing too is that will get you down inside and give you the four corners from the inside. That way you can go down there with the cover, right, for the fan, hold it up against the ceiling, find those corners, and then trace the hole you want to cut out, and then cut that hole the cleanest you possibly can. So with a good fine saber saw blade, just get up in there and cut it. Not a, try to find a shorter one if you can, because those ceilings aren't too thick. Cut it from the inside first, okay? And if there's any, well, you're going to have a flange on the cover, right, the trim. So you'll hide any sins. And then go to the top and cut it. Get yourself some uh, uh, lap sealant caulk. All right, so they make this caulking that is like a lap sealant. It's not quite lap sealant. It's more like a putty, but it comes in rolls. The name of it, the exact name escapes me, but you can get a large roll for about $6 on Amazon, which, by the way, is a good time to remind you that I am an Amazon affiliate, and there is a link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, it's greatly appreciated. I make it a little, I get a little teeny small commission for things you buy, and it's totally anonymous. I don't know who's buying what, so I have no idea. I just see that somebody bought a pair of pants, or a box of Boraxo, or borax, I should say, or something like that. And then I get a couple pennies, and it all adds up, and it helps me, buy new camera gear or replace camera gear. I had some camera gear stolen this past spring. It was quite hurtful because it was right underneath the maximum, the deductible, or the deductible on my damn homeowner's insurance. So I lost some mics and my the little widget camera I had. What was the name of it? Geez, I'm getting old. I can't remember half anything. I don't remember the name of it, but I lost it too to the thieves. But so that's what I use the Amazon stuff for. Also, if you like the channel, give me that thumbs up on the videos. That's great. It helps YouTube recommend it to more people, and all of that is very greatly appreciated. So, Michigan Dave, I hope I got you going down the road. Just go for it. You're not going to hurt it. Oh, Tom says it works within the coach, but outside close it quits. Yeah. So Tom has also had a problem with his Victron system disconnecting from the software that you can look at it to see, what your battery status is and how many amps of this and that and how much power you're making and all these sorts of things. He's had trouble with that, with the range on that. Mick the dog asks, do I do anything for preventative maintenance on my levelers? Yes. I have tube jacks, right? I have hydraulic, and so what I'll do is I'll take them and run them fully out. So I'll extend them out completely, and then I use automatic transmission fluid, and so I get a little ATF and I put it on a towel, good clean microfiber towel. And I'll wipe the tubes down, and then I'll run the jacks in and out, and I'll wipe them down again, and then I just take and turn the towel over to a non-oily spot, and then wipe them down, and you're good to go. That's all you need to do. You can also use WD-40. I believe HWH says you can use WD-40 on your jack tubes. Um, and then if you have like the scissor leveling jacks, like you would find on a travel trailer, just lube up all the points that hinge. You know, those scissor jacks have a main hinge point in the middle, and then there's hinges at the top and at the bottom. And just shoot all of those pivot points and the screw with some dry lubricant. Silicone works great. WD-40 works perfect. And that's what I would use on my the travel trailer to maintain the jacks. The nice thing about WD-40 or silicone is it doesn't attract any dirt or dust. I got into an argument with a guy one time about how the ATF would attract dirt or dust. Well, there's going to be ATF on that tube because that seal is not going to wipe all that ATF off that tube when it comes out of hydraulic seal through the hydraulic seal. And I've never had any trouble with it. I do that a couple times a year, wipe down the tubes, and I don't even worry about it. Never had any trouble with them after that. The Hope Boss says, "Oh, my husband is an energy healer. Oh, and I'm a breath coach and a yoga teacher. Awesome. They do mini retreats. That's You guys are awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much." Yeah, you know the bus grease monkey. Yeah, he's a good guy. Jim, I am in Arkansas, but you probably missed the update at the beginning, and you haven't been here, and that's fine. I totally get it. But my dad fell and broke his hip back in June, and I've been in Arkansas since the 14th of June. 10 weeks today, as a matter of fact. Um, but I haven't seen my dad for almost 2 weeks because of COVID. They locked down the nursing home, the care facility he's at. He should be home here towards the end of the month. Ron Brunch. Hi, Ron. Awesome to have you in Ennis, Montana. Boy, I love it. But there's another fire up in that area. I thought I saw there was a bit of a fire up there, but they got their starter fixed, and now just the LP leak fixed at Barney Bridge. Oh yeah, that's a great spot. Um, if you're right up there in Ennis, if you're looking for another place, that Bill Frome Park, the Bill Frome County Park, which is up on the north end of Henry's Lake. I love that place. It's total free, but there's no hookups there. But it's totally free, and it's just right there on Henry's Lake, and it's a beautiful spot there. You can go right out of there and go up over Red Rock Canyon Road and go up the Continental Divide and get up to the Idaho-Montana border, and it's just then there's what's that wildlife refuge up there? But there's a big wildlife refuge up over the mountain up there, just 15 minutes from Henry's Lake State Park, which is up near where you're at right now, Ron. Yeah, Arkansas, not Alaska. Mick the dog says he has a 2005 Winnebago V10. It's a Voyage, a nice coach, but I want to upgrade to a DP so bad I could taste it. Yeah, I do love my DP, and I would consistently get 8.2 um, miles per gallon on it. It just doesn't sound like it's working so hard. I have friends who, have the big V10 RVs. I know I have a friend of mine who's got a Ford one. It's actually a Class C, but he's got the V10 in it. And then I have another friend of mine with the Baystar who's got a big V10 in it. And they're just noisier to my ear. And they just sound like they're working so much harder than the diesel pushers. But yeah, I'd make you a heck of a deal on a 2004 Newmar Dutch Star, Russ or Mick. Yeah, Tom, the HWH jacks, that's what I have. And so do what I was mentioning, the automatic transmission fluid or WD-40, whatever you prefer. I like the ATF better. Two Feathers, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Nice super chat. Okay, let's see here. Every once in a while, I touch the chat and it goes all the way to the bottom of the page, and then I have to go up. So sorry for the delay there. Yeah, Bus Grease Monkey, he's fun. He's down here in Tennessee. You know, they just moved down there. I think he was up in Cincinnati area. Don't quote me on that. But if you don't know Bus Grease Monkey, he is a Detroit diesel guy, and he's into vintage buses. You know, the old 40s and 50s and 60s, the Greyhound buses, and uh, the old GM type buses. You know, that had the Detroit diesels in them. And you can find, if you got one of those, you go to his channel, you're going to find basically a how-to video to do on about anything from brakes to axles to engine overhauls to in-frame overhauls. And yeah, he does a lot. Yep, Al Momo. Yep, he knows a lot for sure. Oh, so Tom found his voltage drop. He's been having a problem with his batteries running down, his chassis batteries, and the understep light is on. There you go. That'll do it. Yeah, incandescent lights use a lot of power. Did I miss a question from Rick and Miss Brown? Let me go back here, scroll back, and make sure I didn't miss something. Okay, series or parallel. Megger. Oh, Megger. Gotcha, Rick Downey. Oh, 24 hours. I remember it was a question I'd asked. They're going down in 24 hours. What do you have running on them? Are you actually using them, or are you just plugged in? Because keep in mind that all of your lighting, well, most of your lighting in your RV is probably going to be 12 volt, and so it would be using your batteries. I would definitely look in to see if your charger is working correctly. Um, that would be the first thing I'd look into. Make sure that your battery terminals and everything are really clean. There is a video on my channel about cleaning the battery terminals and doing battery maintenance, although I have a 6 volt system and you probably have a 12. But the general concept of cleaning the terminals and the cables and stuff like that is exactly the same. It doesn't matter what the voltage is there. But yeah, I would look for that. I would look for sneak currents. Um, Tom Downey, for a couple of weeks now, has been having a problem with his batteries running low, his chassis batteries, and he found a sneak current. And okay, this current that you don't think about. In his case, it was a light underneath the steps, but it could be any number of things that be dragging those batteries down. But yeah, first thing I would do is check your charger and make sure your batteries are getting charged properly. Rick and Miss Brown. The way to do that it would be, well, I need to know what kind of inverter charger you have, or if you have an inverter charger. Need to know what your 110 volt device is, what's changing it up to 110 for you, if you have 110. And I think in that rig you should have 110. How do you get a hold of a Megger, Tom? Okay, so Two Feathers says last week there was a truck pulling a fifth wheel coming at me with his roof flapping in the wind like waves on the beach. It took a bit to figure out what the heck I was seeing. Oh my God, poor dude. Yeah, that's funny. So probably the wind had got underneath the top of his roof and it was rubber and it got underneath there and it probably just lifted that roof. And I could just imagine what that might look like going down the road. That'd be interesting. Okay, okay, good. Yeah, there we go. I drill a pile hole. Yep. Oh, yeah, Tom, double check on this transmission filter and fluid change. I changed my transmission over to synthetic. When I took Camp Freightliner, Mike, the instructor, had told me, because all the newer rigs have synthetic, which changes the maintenance cycle up to 3 years or 36,000 miles. And the older, you know, transmissions, it was 12 months or 12,000 miles, and it's an expensive service. It was 120 or $30, right? And so, what Mike told me was is that you could do two services with synthetic at the 12,000 mile interval. So I did my first change, and then 12,000 miles later, well, it wasn't 12,000 miles, it was 12 months later, I did my second change with synthetic, and now I'm on the 36,000 mile rotation. I have a Allison M40, an M40 transmission, M4000 series. I believe that's true for all the Allisons, but you might want to look into that because that changes that maintenance cycle, and you know that's easier than having to worry about doing it every 12 months or 12,000 miles. And transmissions are expensive. You're welcome, Dave. Okay, so Rick and Miss Brown say we have a camper on pretty level ground. We have an above ground septic next to the camper. The discharge, gray black pipe, is lower than the intake on the above ground septic advised. Um, yeah, macerator might be the way to go. Get a macerator pump that you can hook up on the outside and use the macerator to pump it up into the holding tank. Um, that's about the only way I could think of. Oh, there you go. Almost home. Yeah, you beat me to it. I think a macerator would work fine for that. Thanks so much, Hope Bus. It's always nice to have you in there, and thanks for the super chat. It's greatly appreciated. Peace. Yeah, Tim uses HW or WD-40 to lube his jacks. Yeah, it's good stuff. You're welcome, Tom. Yeah, WD-40 is a great cleaner. It's really good at removing oil, and it's really good at removing like road tar and stuff like that off of your car. I've used it for that. It's a great contact cleaner for sure. Yeah, totally, Tim. The retract time in half, and you're not going down the road, and the damn alarm will come on because it drops down a millimeter, and it's right there on the edge of where the jacks will alarm when they start to come down if you're on the road. And I've had that happen, but not since I started doing my tubes every couple, a couple times every year. Yes, Mick, you don't want to be in the rig with it totally lifted off the ground with all four jacks. That's not a good idea. But to get them up far enough that you can wipe the tubes down with not being inside and having it move around, you're just fine. Okay. But yeah, you always, when you're leveling your RV, it's never a good idea to have the tires off the ground with the jacks. Um, you should have leveling blocks if you're going to be in that situation. I personally had and just built, I had some 2x10s that I built for leveling blocks. And sometimes I would use them under my jacks if the ground was soft. I would make a pad of these 2x10s, two wide and then one across lengthwise to spread the weight out if I was on soft ground, and or use them if I was on good ground, but I had to lift the front end up enough to get it level. Then I would put the 2x10s underneath the wheels and then set it down just enough to have weight, a little bit of weight sitting on it. But that is absolutely good advice, is to never be in your RV with all the jacks fully extended. You can bend the jack tubes. But to clean them, you'll be fine. Almost Home Bus was thinking that they would probably end up buying a plot somewhere in Arkansas eventually. Do I recommend that state? Arkansas is a beautiful state. Um, I'm a boy from the West, okay? So the heat and humidity gets me down here. Um, the molds, we don't have a lot of the molds as far as the allergens go up in the West because it's too dry. they'll be there, but they're not like here. And the molds right now are just out of control. And so I'm plugged up stuffy tonight from allergies. And my eyes, I've been waking up with crusty eyes and the whole 9 yards because my allergies are just raging right now because your body gets used to being in a certain location and you get acclimated to the allergens, the pollens, the molds, the mildews, whatever it is as far as allergies go. Out west, it's dust and pollen and stuff like that. Where out here, you're trading dust for molds and mildews. So, you asked me if I would recommend this state. It's beautiful here. It's very conservative. It's very rural. Um, you're a long way from services. Here where I'm at, it's 20 minutes to the nearest decent hospital, 15 minutes to a Walmart, um, that kind of stuff. So it's not that bad. But I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and I like the Ozarks. But yeah, it's hot and muggy. It's super conservative. It's buggy because of humidity. But yeah, it's a beautiful state. They call it the natural state for a reason. It's very beautiful here. Would I recommend it? Well, like I said, I'm a guy from the West, and so I would probably go a little further west and look for a little drier climate for my personal taste. No worries, Aaron. I did share your propane video, and everybody was, wetting themselves looking at that. All right, here. Sorry, I got lost. Here we go. Okay. Oh, okay. So you're a 1937 Fairchild. Wow, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. So go over and check out Tom Downey's channel here if you're on the stream tonight. Go over and say hi to him. Oh wow, we're already at 9 o'clock. My goodness. No worries. I understand when folks call, you got to chat with them. Oh, you've sold the Fairchild. Okay, but there's videos on your channel about it. That's cool. I'll have to go check that out. Almost home bus. Is anyone aware of a system which will allow independent control of a suspension airbag pressure? I'd like to be able to modify, mostly level the bus using the airbags. I am not. I think that it would be easy enough to make one. I can see myself doing something like that with a Raspberry Pi and some relays, very similar to what a hydraulic jack system would be. I think if you were really clever with a Raspberry Pi, you could set it to where it would auto level. I think the problem with airbags you're going to find though is you're not going to have enough control to get really level. Sometimes in RV parks, you really got to, they're not all perfectly level. And this is especially true in campgrounds. Um, there's going to be a little slope and you're going to be left or right or something like that. And that's not uncommon that I have to get up pretty far on my jacks to get level. I would be concerned that you're not going to be able to get the amount of leveling that you need to get really level just using the airbags alone. I just don't think they're going to be tall enough to get you where you want to be. That's just a swag on my part. The swag is sort of a wild ass gas. But I'm been camping a long time in a bigger rig, and I don't think they're going to be tall enough to get you the level that you want. And Aaron has a V10 and it's loud. Yeah, okay, there you go. Is there another way to support me outside of Super Chat? Uh, Amazon. You could PayPal me if you just want to send me a one time to PayPal or to. I actually started using this the other day. I don't. I don't remember the name of it. What's it called? Venmo. You could Venmo me, uh, and or PayPal me. Venmo would probably be the way to go. Um, you don't have to do that, but if you'd like to, that would be awesome. I promise I will put. I'll fix. I need to fix the labels that go on my video anyway. Let me make myself a note here to not forget. Okay. So I'm going to break away for a minute, and uh, one of my regular watchers, he usually drops off about this time, but Michigan Dave, I believe it was Michigan Dave, was asking me about automatic generator starters. AGS or automatic generator starters are just a device that will automatically start the generator and presumably charge your batteries and power your coach when your when your house batteries get low. They make there's third party ones that they make. Um, my recommendation would be if you have an inverter like a Xantrex, Victron, any of the mainstream ones, you're probably going to find that they offer an AGS, an automatic generator start, uh, with their system. And so I would generally recommend that you go with that. If you third party ones are just fine, but keep in mind not every generator is compatible with an automatic generator start. If it's a built-in generator like you would find in a Class A or a Class C, then you're probably going to be okay. You're going to want to check the generator manufacturer against the AGS and make sure that it's going to work properly. Um, it's and the same with your Class A because it could be a Cummins, it could be an Onan. I have a PowerTech, which is just a Kubota with a generator on it, but it's a Kubota engine, so it's really a Kubota. Um, but that's the things you're going to want to check on that uh, as far as getting an AGS. Um, and so I hope that helps. Oh, well, thanks, Mick. Mick the dog says, I just bought some stuff from Amazon that I used to heat shield and sound deaden the inside of my doghouse. It made a huge difference with my MTV10 with heat and noise. Yeah, well, thanks. I got to tell you, I look at my Amazon stuff maybe once a week. Um, you know, I'm definitely not checking it every day. I check comments every day and I try to answer comments every day. But the rest of it, well, since I've been here and I've had a lot of other things that I've been trying to get done before my dad gets home, I've kind of let a lot of stuff slide. I haven't been editing quite as much either. I need to get back to both of those. I'm anxious to get home. I'm kind of homesick, to be honest with you. Tim Myers, yeah, the V10 loves to scream when it downshifts. Bob Davis, he says he spent many years driving truck with Detroit Diesel. My ears are still ringing. Did you ever drive any of the old two-strokers, Bob? Thank you, Aaron. You are the man. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to post a link, Mick, in the chat. I have URLs. I have hyperlinks blocked on comments. That stops the spammers. You find these spammers that come in and they'll put like a hyperlink to like 20 seconds into your video, but the link is to a porn site. And I got tired of that crap, so I just started blocking anything with a hyperlink. And so I tried to check block comments and get them approved if they're appropriate. But yeah, and that instantly stopped that noise. I don't see that stuff anymore. Rick and Miss Brown say, I've seen them go up and down, wondering if it requires two batteries. Without doing some kind of a power audit, it would be hard to say. And what I mean by power audit is understanding how much power you're using during the day, how much power you want to be able to use, how many days you want to go without being able to charge. There's a bunch of stuff that goes into that. If you'd like to email me at trbullen at gmail.com, um, and start a discussion, I'd be happy to try to help you figure that out and get you to some resources that would help you put together a power budget, Rick and Miss Brown. Oh, make the dog use the Noiko 80 mil 18 square foot sound deadening mat. Audio noise insulation. Yeah, interesting. Oh yeah, so you did most home buses. Their trannies filled with synthetic too. It is pricey. You did that after a rebuild. Yeah, that would be the perfect time to do it. But it's sure nice because if you sit down and you do the math, it costs you two-thirds as much basically to keep your transmission maintained using synthetic as it does using non-synthetic. Thank you, Aaron. Oh, there you go. Yeah, the Field of Dreams. I watched that game on TV, the baseball game that they did at Field of Dreams. You're welcome, Rick and Miss Brown. Dirty hands too. Yeah. Okay. On those electric ones, if there's a shiny tube, then wipe it down with WD-40. So extend them out, wipe them down with WD-40, extend them back up in. Uh, if it's a screw, like there may be a screw or something in there, if you can see it, spray it with some dry lubricant, WD-40, silicone, anything like that. And that's how I would maintain those electric types, is with the dry lubricant and just wipe them down occasionally. J&B Lawn Care, hope that helps. Okay, let's see where are we coming up on 9:12. So got about 25 people still in the chat. Let's see if I can get caught up on comments here. All right. Transfluid, $50 a gallon, 5 gallons. Wow, I don't think I spent that much on synthetic for mine. In fact, I know I didn't. The second time I had it changed to Penske in Twin Falls, and I think the transmission service with fluid was 180. No, that was for the hydraulic hose. It was 250, 252 for the oil filters, all that stuff. I think. No, maybe it was 180. But yeah, it takes 5 gallons, I think is what it ended up taking when they did the trans service. I just don't recall, but that seems expensive. I did, Aaron, show the clip. But since you're here and we like to scare people, we'll show again. That would scare the bejesus out of me. Tom Downey buys WD-40 by the gallon. You can do that too. You're very welcome, Almost Home Bus. Wow, Tom, that's amazing. Restored 17. You've restored 17 aircraft. Three 170s, five 150s, a bunch of Piper Super Cubs. Wow. Oh, look at that. Almost Home Bus. Exactly what he was thinking. A microcontroller was what I was thinking. I'm doing Home Assistant on Raspberry Pi with ESP32 Wi-Fi boards for lighting and other relays. You're halfway there. Just build yourself a system that works with your airbags. I'm sure you can find valves, that you can control, with relays off a Raspberry Pi. The digital I/Os on that, or even the analogs, they don't support a lot of juice, but through another relay, which is very common in electronics, um, you know, yeah, you could easily build that with Raspberry Pi. Are you coding? Are you actually writing code, or are you using pre-canned software? Momo host. Okay, good night. Good night. Okay, there is a link in the description below in this video to my Amazon store, or it's as simple as going to amazon.com/shop, SHOP/TR That's all it takes. If you enter Amazon through that, then I'll get credit for anything you buy on Amazon during that trip. Or there is a link in the description for this video. But thanks for asking, and I greatly appreciate the support, Rick and Miss Brown. Oh, and Mr. Aaron is always on top of it. So, Aaron, I'm curious. You don't have an Amazon affiliate? Because I can't spend money on my own Amazon affiliate, but I'd sure spend some on yours if you had one. You're welcome, John, for the info on the AGS. Oh, Bob Davis, 318 to start two-stroke, then 350 two-stroke. Ooh. All right, it looks like I might be caught up. Thank you, John. I am glad to have helped, and you have a good night as well. You know, Aaron, you be careful because you're going to keep getting these goodies like I sent you before. I still haven't even seen the stuff. I had it in a box. I was going to unbox. What I'm talking about is I sent some stuff up to Aaron from a sponsorship that I accepted clear back in June, and from a gentleman that makes these bug off pads. He's down in Florida. He's been very patient with me because it wasn't a week after I got him that I had to come here to Arkansas, and but I sent some to Aaron for as a thank you for doing the moderation. And I haven't even opened the box yet. I was going to do an unboxing and then go out and use them, but I'll do that as soon as I get home. That'll be another video that I got to take care of. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you. All right, let's wrap her up. 9:15. That seems to be about the right time. Everybody, thank you so much. I hope I was able to help you with your questions today. Don't forget to tell your friends and share the video. Share it up on Facebook. That's always helpful. You can always contact me via email, trboland.com. Leave a comment on the video. Leave a comment over on my Facebook page. Link in the description. Visit me on my website. You can contact me through there at trboland.com. But we're going to call this one good. Thank you so much. Until we get together the next time, peace. Bye. See you next week. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you sticking with me. Yep, be sure and go over and check out Aaron's channel at Three Tails RV. Oh, and you do have a link. Cool. I haven't. I'm really bad. I don't read the description in videos, particularly if it's long. And that's one of the things I made myself a note to do was just to update my video descriptions. I have a tool that I can use. It'll go through and it'll do it all automatically for me. But let's call her good. Thanks. Good night, folks. And we'll see you soon. Bye.